Hello everyone, my name is Kirk and I am with the Game Goblin. Welcome to our first tutorial for Tabletop Simulator, the basics. To play Tabletop Simulator, you are first going to need a Steam account. You can go to steamcommunity.com and make a login. If you already have Steam, great. You just log in and then you're going to install Steam. And once you have Steam installed, you're going to need to purchase Tabletop Simulator. So search for Tabletop Simulator here. And the price is $20. You can usually find it on sale if you Google Tabletop Simulator deals for half off, 10. Steam also runs deals. They'll sell Tabletop Simulator at half off every once in a while. If you want, follow my Facebook group and I will post when it goes on sale. So you will purchase Tabletop Simulator and install it. Once you have it installed, go to gamegoblin.com and you're going to need some games to play. So you can click on my Tabletop Simulator Steam icon here. Click it. It'll take you to my workshop. And the games that I have available are Rock, Paper, Scissors, Bomb and Goblin Bazaar. Rock, Paper, Scissors, Bomb is ready to play. Goblin Bazaar is a prototype. I will be posting tutorials on how to play those games later this week. Let's click on Rock, Paper, Scissors, Bomb. And scroll down, and you'll need to be logged in. And from here you can subscribe. Once you subscribe, when you open up Tabletop Simulator, that will make it show up in Tabletop Simulator so you can load it and play it. Same with Goblin Bazaar. Go back, hit Goblin Bazaar, and you can go down and subscribe. Once you are subscribed to those, you will launch Tabletop Simulator. Alright, once you have Tabletop Simulator loaded, you can start it and you're going to see this screen. Here you can join an existing game or you can create and be the host of a game. If you're going to join the game, you're going to need the server name and the login password, which I will show as we create. So I'm going to hit create, multiplayer. You set the server name. I've typed in Game Goblin here. I've made it public, but you need a server password. Password is who dis. Make your own password. You can change the number of players. Just for this game, I'm going to set it to 6 players. If you're going to join a game, you'll get a login. You'll get the server name and login from your host. And it takes a while here. You could type in Game Goblin in the search and it'll come up and then you'll highlight it and you'll hit connect. It's going to take a while to load them all, so we're not going to do that. We'll go back to create, public, create server. Now that I've created the server, I get a list of games that I can load. They have classic games and downloadable content. These are games that you need to pay, and I think if you click, it'll take you to the store so you can buy these. Because you've subscribed to my free games, they should show up here, and you would just click Rock, Paper, Scissors, Bomb, for example. Load it. And to give you a little tour of the interface window, all of these buttons on the left are for modding and building your own game. You don't need to know that to play. To rewind time, this is your undo button. You can also use Control-Z to rewind time if you want to back up a game a little bit. The games button here will bring up the games list again, so you can load a new game. So I could switch from this to Goblin Bazaar if I liked. Under the objects, this is more for modding. This is where you can bring in components. You can change the table, but you don't want to change the table of an existing game. Some useful things that you might want. If you need any player pawns or anything like that, you can bring it in here. There are some tools. If you ever want to use a timer, here's a digital clock. If you need a calculator. This is a tablet that you can actually use to browse the web while in Tabletop Simulator. So if you want to look up a tutorial, you can grab this. A little simple counter that counts up with plus and minus. Media player, a note card example I've used here to make scorecard, and bags to put items in. You can play music. I haven't done that, but I'm sure you can figure it out. A notebook to take notes in. Options. As the host, you can come here and you can change the permissions of what your players can do. You can shut off table flip if you don't want them flipping the table on you. You can give them permission to do scaling and all of this other kind of stuff. I'll let you figure that out. This is just a basic tutorial, so I won't cover all of this in depth. Other options, another option that I like to set when I'm hosting a game is I like to lock the physics. If you have physics on, when people are moving pieces around, if they drop it, say, on the board full of pieces, it's going to interact just like it would in the real world, and it's going to make all those pieces fly around. This will keep that from happening. If you want that, you can turn it on. Some games do use the physics as well, so you'll need that on. And modding, this is for saving and uploading your own mods, but you don't need to do that to play. Table flip, as I said, you can actually flip the table. I'll show you that later. And the menu will bring up the menu to resume the game. You can change your configurations in here. You can change the graphics. If stuff is a little bit choppy while you're playing, you can drop the quality. I'm doing very low because my laptop can't handle recording this video and high graphics at the same time. You can control the sound, main menu volume, push to talk. Just all your basic controls are in here. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Lift height. Lift height is how high it's going to lift an object. So say that I lift this deck, it lifts it that high. If I make this go up, it'll lift it higher. Personally, I keep it right about here. Because I'm doing low quality, I actually don't have shadows, so it's easier to see when I want to move something and set it in a specific spot, nice and low. And rotation degrees. This, when you open the game, defaults at 15%. I like to bump it up to 90, and I'll show you why later. And here is the list of players. I am the Game Goblin, and I'm the host right now. To change colors, I can click my name, hit change color, and I can become the green player. And that'll put me there, and when I get dealt cards, it'll deal my hand here. When your players come in, they can also change the color, or you can assign their color. If I choose red, it's going to put me here, and it's going to orient the table towards me that way. And we'll go back to green. The other options are black is a game master. This is somebody who probably is running a game and not playing in the game, because he will be able to see everyone's hands and everyone's cards and have the most powers in the game. The gray is just a spectator. They won't be able to see anybody's hands if somebody wants to watch your game. But I want to be an actual player, so I'm going to choose green. There is also a team option. If you have a team game, I can join Team Diamonds with my other teammates, and we will have the ability to chat with each other without the other team's hearing. I think that's mostly what teams are used for, not used too often. One side note, always remember that you can hit the question mark key to bring up the hotkeys. So here you can see all the camera moves, contextual menu, all the controls, everything that I'm going to describe in depth. Now you want to learn how to move the camera. The easiest ways that I do it are middle mouse button. If I press it, I can move, pan left, pan right, pan left, backboard. Basically, middle mouse button just lets you move this way. If I do the right click button, I can change the angle. And if I want to zoom in and out, I can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. There are keyboard controls for this as well. For moving and panning the camera, you can use the WASD, the same buttons you would use moving your character in a video game. W pans forward, S pans back, A pans left, and D pans right. Personally, I just use the mouse. If you ever get into a wonky angle and you can't quite get it back, you can always hit the spacebar to return it to the default. You can also save your favorite camera angle. Let's say that I like it right about here. That way I can see my cards that will be in front of me here and the other players. If I want to save this, I will hit Control and a number. I'm going to hit Control 9, and this will save this angle under 9. If I want to return to that angle, I would do Shift 9. Shift 9, and it returns me to that angle. Spacebar for default, Shift and the number to go back to a saved. Let's see, that covers camera movement. And you saw me manipulating the deck before. I can hover over the deck and left mouse button, hold it, will pick it up, and then I can move it around and let go of the mouse button to let the object go. Hold it down to pick up the deck. If I just want to take one card off of the deck, I will use the left mouse button, but I will move it away quickly and it'll just take the top card off. Just like that. So I can take these cards, boom, boom, take them off. And then I can pick them up again and move them around. If I want to flip them over so that I can see them, I can use the F key button, F to flip, flip, flip. And if I ever want to zoom in to see an object closer, I can use the Alt key. I hover over this card, hit Alt, and now it zooms it in for me so that I can see it, so that I don't have to move the camera. You can move the camera, of course, to come in and see, but sometimes it's easier just to use Alt. You can scroll this in while holding Alt with the wheel button. Scroll in, scroll out. This lets me see items like this. So this is the scorecard, holding Alt, scrolling in and out. The rotate buttons are Q and E. Hover over an item. If I hit Q, it'll rotate it left 90 degrees. I can change this to other degrees, but 90 is the most comfortable. So Q, 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 rotate that around. E will rotate it to the right, rotate it all the way around. And say that you're playing a certain trading card game, you could use E to tap it to the right and Q to untap it. Okay, I will flip these over. If I want to bring a group of objects back together, say I want to put all these cards back in a deck, I can drag select like this and hit G to group it all together. If you want to shuffle a deck, you can hover over it and hit the R key, random, say R for randomize, and I'm hit R, randomize it. You can also pick up a deck and shake it, and that will shuffle it as well. You'll also use that for dice. I'll show you that on another item. Let's see. Another way to use Alt. So if I use Alt and zoom in on this card, I can see the side that everybody sees. If I hold Shift and do Alt, I'll be able to peek, and you can see that it puts a little eye there. Say, hey, green's peeking at the bottom of this card. That lets me see the other side without having to flip it over. So if you have a game where you need to peek at cards, this is what you do: Shift and Alt, and then Alt just to zoom in. Another way to zoom in is magnify. So you can hit M, and this will give you a little magnifying glass so that you can just hover, go around the board and see things a little bit more clearly. For example, the scorecard here is on the table, the nil bets, so I can magnify in to see this a little bit better. You can also right-click an object, and most of these options will be there as well. You can shuffle, cut, split, reset the deck. You can search. I'll show you search in a minute. You can hit deal to all players. So I shuffled this deck and say that I have 4 players. If I hit deal, it's going to deal us all 1 card. Since I'm the only player here, it's dealing me 1. It's just dealing them to me. If there were 4, it'd be dealing 1 to everybody. So I'm just clicking deal. And as you can see, my hand is shown here and here. Personally, I don't use this hand very much. If I hit the H key, I can hide my hand. Well, H for hand. I prefer to leave it here. And while you're in here, you can manipulate these with the left mouse button to put them in order. If you ever want to draw cards from a deck, you can just hit a number. So let's say that I hit the number 3. I'm going to hover over the deck, hit 3, and it's going to deal me 3 more cards. Put these in order. To manipulate cards within your hand, you can move them around. You can also flip them. So let's say that I want to pass this 4 to my partner. I can hover over it, flip it, bring it out of my hand, put it on the table, and say, hey, here's the card I'm passing you. That way, when you flip it in your hand, it's never revealed to anybody. And then when you can also put it into your hand and flip it back over. You can do drag select to take multiple items out of your hand, put them out. And with those selected, I can hit G to group them. I can flip them. And I can pick this up and drop it back on the deck. Sometimes it'll drop on it and it'll become 1 deck again. But if you have a whole bunch of cards spread all over everywhere, even if they're different orientations, flipped or not, I can group, I can drag select, hit G for group, and it'll bring them all back together. Nice way to clean up quickly. The search option. Over here I have a deck on the table. This deck right here, I can pick up and move it around. This deck I cannot, because what I've done is I've locked it. You can use the L key to lock and unlock decks. This one you want to remain locked. You can also go to toggles and lock or unlock. I'm going to leave this locked, but while it's locked I can right click it and hit search. This allows me to read the rules. So I can read the rules one page at a time. Just move and hover. And this is how you can search. While you're in here, let's see, I can also search this deck. And while I'm in here, if I want to take one card out, say I'm searching for this 13, I can pull it out. And the 13 will be out of the deck now. And I think you can even put things back in. So I put that back in the deck. Let's see, what else? You can, let's change games. Have a few more items to mess with. I'm going to go to Goblin Bazaar, load. And this is more of a traditional board game, so it's got more parts to manipulate. Here is a Bazaar deck and a deck over here. So I can hover over these, R, to shuffle them, shuffle. Say in this game I need to draw 2 cards from the shop deck. I can hit 2 and it'll deal me 2, and then I can put these out on the board there. This is my gem pouch. It's got 2 sides, but I also use it to put items on. So if I want to lock it, I can hover over it, hit L, and then that way I can't grab it anymore, but I can put gems and stuff on it, and then I'll be able to even group select gems without touching the card because it's locked. If I want to flip that card, I'm going to need to unlock it. I'll hit L, and now I can flip it, and then I can lock it again. These are player aid cards. They have 2 sides. You can flip those to see that. Let's see, the main thing is dice. Lots of games use dice. To randomize the dice, you can take it up and shake it, and then drop it, but that doesn't randomize it very well. What I prefer to do is I will box select it so that it's highlighted, and then hit R, and I'll keep hitting R to get it nice and rolled, and then just let it drop. So R will randomize your dice, and R will randomize your deck as well. So R, 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 and even you can do this R. Let's see. If you're in a game where you need blindfolds, you can hit the B button, and that'll give you a blindfold. And you can hit B again or punch this button to remove the blindfold. When you're in game and you want to chat in game, if you're not using Discord or something like that, you can hit the C button for chat. And as I have C, it's showing that I'm talking, and everybody else in the game would be able to hear what I'm saying. And then I can let go of C, and then they can't hear what I'm saying. V is for team chats. So you can see that I'm holding V, and it says I got team voice chat. Only my team members could hear me. Grouping was for bringing those together. Some other random commands. Let's say that I have these cards stacked like this, but I want this one underneath, or this is a game board or something. If I hover over this card and it's highlighted and I hit U, that will place that card under. So in a game where you put cards kind of under a board, this board is locked, so I'm going to unlock it. And I want this card just half under there. I'm going to put the card there, hit U, and it'll put the card under the board. And you can just grab it back out. Another little handy thing, if you want to bring the player's attention to something, I can hover over a place and hit tab, and that will drop an arrow. Say, hey, check this out. Let's see what other items. As a mod, and if you promote your players, you can manipulate items. If I want this emerald to be bigger, I can scale it by hovering over it and hitting the plus. So I'll hit plus, 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 and it makes it bigger. If I want to scale it back down, I can hit minus, and it'll make it smaller. I can also change the color of an item. This is an emerald, so I wouldn't recommend changing it, but if I wanted to, I can make it blue. And if you want to delete an item, you can just hover over it and hit backspace, and it'll delete items. Let's say that I need more emeralds, I've run out. I can hover over it and hit Control C to copy it, and go off to the side and hit Control V to paste it. And I can paste as many times as I want. You can do this with multiple items. If I select multiple, hit Control Copy, and hit Control V, paste. That'll give you more. And if I ever want to undo anything, I can hit Control Z, and it will rewind time. So it went back to the time that I didn't want. And let's see, hover over. Oh, you can also manipulate the dice. I'm going to lock this board again. You can hover over a dice and set it to a number. If I want to set this to 4, I can just hit 4 and it'll set it to 4 or 3 or 2. Sometimes if you're using a dice as a counter or something like that. And I think that just about covers the basics. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my tutorial. Have a good day.